What's up, all of my amazing, beautiful people? My name is Chris. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. And in this video, I'm going to show you guys how I made my birthday wig. So I'm not a professional. I am just the type of person to try new things, and whatever works, works. Whatever doesn't, doesn't. Okay, so at this point I'm already sewing, but we're going to dial it back a bit and look at all the materials that you need. So first and foremost, you're going to need some BW2 powder, a container to mix your solution in, and that's when you're going to bleach the knots in your closure, 40 volume developer, your shimmer shampoo, needles, T-pins, a tweezer, sewing thread, and a pair of scissors. You're going to need some moisturizer, a spray bottle of water, a paddle brush, and of course your mannequin head. Boom. So first things first, you're going to sew your tracks on to your lines, onto the guides. So all I did was I took a white eyeliner pencil, whatever you have that's going to be visible on the black cap, you can use it. And I just drew in some lines. My lines aren't perfect, and it doesn't really matter because nobody's going to see them. It's just my guide. And why I drew lines is basically to, help me to kind of gauge where I want my tracks to be, so the back isn't too bulky or the middle isn't too bulky. And the hair that I use, jumping ahead of myself, the hair that I use, it's in the style Kinky curly. I used about 2.5 bundles. I didn't need the full 3. And then of course my closure. Another tip would be to thread multiple needles. This just helps you to move faster, so you don't have to keep stopping and threading over again and stopping and threading and all of that. You can just keep moving once your line of thread is finished. And back to the lines, they're really important if you don't want your wig to be super bulky in one area and everything else is thinned out. You could kind of understand why you may need lines. They're completely optional though. Another tip would be to use T-pins to hold your tracks. So as I'm doing here, I'm holding one end with my finger and the thread in the other end. I use a T-pin to pin down, and that just helps me to control where my track is so it isn't falling all over the place, and that can kind of help me to sew a little better. And another thing that I did was I didn't do the flip over method where you just flip the tracks over and you keep sewing. No, at the end of each line I cut the weft and I cut the thread and do like 2 or 3 knots, and I just start over again on another line. You don't have to do this, but I just don't like doing the flip over method. So this is going to be like super repetitive because obviously all I'm doing is sewing back and forth along these lines until I get closer to my closure, and wherever I don't need any more tracks, I'm just going to cut it and end my wig making process. And at this point I already did sew down my closure, and I already bleached the knots as well. Okay, so at this point I already finished sewing and this is how my wig looked. As I said, I already bleached the closure, and to do that I just used 2 scoops of my BW2 powder, and I continued to pour the volume developer until I got a good consistency. It wasn't too watery and it wasn't too thick. You don't want it too watery, too liquidy, or whatever you want to call it, because you don't want it to easily seep through and basically over bleach your closure. So right here I separated a little bit of baby hairs and I am getting ready to tweeze my closure, because it really shouldn't look that bulky in the front. So I'm going to speed this up, but basically what I'm doing is I'm starting off with the front, and then when I feel like I'm finished with the front, then I take my comb, I part off a little section, and I just keep moving back and tweezing like that. I don't go up all the way to the back of the closure, maybe like almost halfway, or until I feel like, okay, I tweezed a little too much. And be absolutely careful to not over pluck the closure like I ended up doing. It doesn't look like that here, but as the days went by and I kept brushing the hair, I noticed it more and more, and I unfortunately ended up with a little bald spot in the closure, but it's not noticeable, and that's basically all the hair that I tweezed. So this is the wig almost a month later, and I didn't style it, didn't use any glue to hold it down or anything. That is it. Hope this was helpful, and I'll see you all again very soon.